Welcome, everyone, to 2026. This is our Gut Rules Masterclass. We had so much fun with so many of you last year. We enjoyed our holidays as a family. We enjoyed our holidays with friends. We are very, very excited to be with all of you live tonight. And we're also very excited to be sharing this with those who will be watching the recording. And it is a new year, and I'm really excited for tonight. I know that Russell has some particular things that he has been cooking up for all of us. Um, the really exciting thing about my dad is that he has had decades to think about his ideas and understand them and evolve them. And the really good news for all of us is that essentially he has one intention with all of his thinking and creating, and that's to really have the deepest understanding he can of the principles of health and well-being. And he takes a lot of very complicated things and he is very astute and very intentional around finding ways to communicate them to people so that they can be understood and really so that they can be implemented. And so what you'll find tonight is a synthesis of some of those thoughts that Russell has had over the years that he has spent decades and decades evolving and creating ways for you all to hear them, maybe for the first time, maybe for the 10th time. But what's really interesting is that he's always going to find new ways of sharing these things that he's come up with throughout his career. And we're very excited to do this for the first time with all of you here in 2026. And before I bring him on, I would just like to say that, you know, especially in January, I think everyone's looking for ways to have this be maybe the best year of their life so far. Or maybe there's one thing that you really want to do differently, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You want to let something go or you want to take something new on. And especially when it comes to health, there's just so much information out there. If you're going on your phone or your TV looking for answers, you're going to be inundated with thousands of different ideas and, supplements and diets that it could be very, very confusing. And so if you do nothing else from tonight's adventure together, hopefully you do learn something. Hopefully you find some value. But I will be putting a link into the chat that's going to have a free 30-minute conversation with Russell. And so I would imagine that we've all discovered something, even in the first couple weeks of this new year. And you might want to have some more clarity about that new thing that you're looking at. And Russell does have a lot of intelligence around health, and he has brilliant ways of understanding where everyone is in their own health journey. And so I really invite all of you to take advantage of that. And please do send your questions to me privately or to the whole group. Share any excitement, ideas, New Year's resolutions. We love hearing from you. But for now, without further ado, Russell, over to you.
Thank you, Brian. And welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. In case you didn't know, that is Brian Mariani, our oldest son, who is hosting and moderating and answering the chat. And Megan, can you wave? That's Megan Moore. That is my beloved wife of 40 years. And Megan is the co-director of the Center for Functional Nutrition. I do things like this and work directly with clients, and Megan pretty much does everything else. So without that partnership, we would not be very effective. So thank you, Megan, and thank you, Brian, for hosting. And just a quick shout out to Ginger, to Allison, to Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Nice to see you. And Colleen, hope to be talking to you soon. Peter Weinberg makes an appearance live on Zoom. How are you, Peter? Nice to see you. And Lorraine and I spoke in the fall. How are you? And welcome Ramona and Audrey and Effie. And who did I miss? And Maya. All right. And Allie, did I say hello to you? Allison? Yes. Allison Gurnett in Bryson City, North Carolina. So tonight, because it's January, I thought I would give a simple review of my favorite talk, which is the gut health fundamentals, and kind of zero in on the microbiome, why it's so important, how to work with it instead of against it, and how to make a plan. I think I read something this week that said that most people have sabotaged their New Year's resolution by January 9th. So here we are on January 20th, and I had written a newsletter, the last newsletter, I think in early January that went out about the topic was revolutionary resolutions. And basically, what I have found and how I work with clients is to have people not look too far into the future, especially when it comes to habits that they're changing. And so to make a resolution or to make a commitment, especially about your health, I recommend that you don't look beyond 7 days. And we'll be talking about some of the simple things that you can do that could have a profound effect on your gut health in particular and your overall health. It's a lot easier to take on a 7 day commitment rather than to say, I'm not going to eat any sugar for 6 months, or I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to participate in this insulting habit for 6 months. It's way too hard emotionally and psychologically. So, but 7 days, especially if you're serious about improving your health, that's doable. And then within the 7 days, you just do 1 day at a time. And that is for I know for myself, that's the magic formula when I'm serious about making changes and having them become sustainable, having them last. Because the only um, enduring impact when you transform an insulting habit into a complementary habit is to be able to sustain it over time. It's really quite amazing how the body responds when we cooperate with it. So, so with those few comments as kind of a prelude, I want to share this very simple approach that I've used for many, many years. And it starts out with this simple phrase: physical health is the foundation upon which we build the rest of our lives. And the quality of our physical health, more than any other factor, is determined by the quality of the life of our cells. If our cells are healthy, then we are healthy. You want to have a healthy heart, have healthy heart cells. You want to have a healthy liver, have healthy liver cells. And in the case of our gut health, we're talking about this amazing ecosystem of organisms that lives inside our body, our digestive system, our mouth, our throat, our stomach, 24 feet of small intestine, 5 to 6 feet of large intestine. If you were to take the digestive system out of the body, it would cover an entire tennis court. So there's a tremendous amount of surface area and real estate in that digestive system. And living in that system are literally trillions, and some scientists estimate hundreds of trillions, and some scientists estimate thousands of trillions of single-celled organisms, bacteria. Probiotics are healthy bacteria. And if 75 or 80% of all the organisms living in our digestive system were probiotics, of which there are at least 500 different kinds of probiotics. But if your microbiome was dominated to that degree, 75, 80% of all the organisms living in that incredible ecosystem, you would literally not have any digestive system disorders or complaints or negative symptoms. And that's an amazing uh, truth. So, but most people, and the reason for that is because the probiotics, these organisms, aren't just hanging out. They are very active participants in our physiology. Each cell has intelligence. Each cell has a role to play in not only the restoration and maintenance of health inside the digestive system, but has a dramatic impact on all other organs and systems and cells in the entire body. So having a healthy microbiome is the surest way to address and resolve any digestive system problem. And it's a way to address and resolve most other health problems as well. Excuse me. And again, the reason is that these organisms, the probiotics, aren't just hanging out. They actively do many, many things. They digest they eat our food, whatever we're eating. These organisms eat our food, process our food, and eliminate waste products. Just like us. We eat, we digest, we eliminate waste. The probiotics, again, you're talking about thousands of trillions. The waste products of the probiotics are all health promoting. Some of the waste products include digestive enzymes, which help to break down our food. Some of the waste products include hormones. Some of those hormones regulate the peristaltic muscles of our digestive system. Some of those hormones regulate the pH of our digestive system. Some of the waste products of the probiotics include all of our B vitamins. B vitamins are essential for blood quality, for immune system cells, but B vitamins are very fragile. They're easily destroyed in all kinds of processes. So even if you're buying supplemental B vitamins, it's not easy to get to keep those intact. So the safest way to make sure that you're getting all of your B vitamins is to make sure your gut health is really good, because the probiotics produce all of the B vitamins. And another very important waste product of the probiotics is the most powerful antibiotics ever discovered. So again, we have this we talk about having a self-healing capability. We talk about the body being able to heal itself. And so this is one of the ways that the body is constantly healing itself. If our microbiome is really healthy, then we don't have any negative symptoms in our digestive system. And since 80% or more of the antibody producing component of our immune system is in glands in the lining of the small intestine, this is why scientists say that gut health impacts our immune system. So for many, many reasons, having a healthy gut microbiome is the easiest doorway into restoring digestive system health and the health of all other organs and systems and cells. So I just painted a picture of the benefits from the waste products of the probiotics and stating again, the vast majority of those organisms are probiotics, 75, 80%, you're just not going to have any problems. But most people, due to mistakes of in our decision-making process, due to environmental factors, due to medications, due to chlorine in the drinking water, due to negative stress from all sources, we end up having less than ideal populations of healthy probiotics in our system. And so we end up having what's called intestinal dysbiosis. We have an imbalance between the probiotics and the dysbiotics, and gradually the negative organisms take over. And instead of having 80% probiotics, we can end up having 80% dysbiotics. And what happens is those organisms find a home in our system, and those organisms eat our food and produce waste products. But the waste products of the unhealthy organisms, the waste products of the dysbiotics, are toxic to our system, and that's what produces the gas, the bloating, the cramping, the loose, urgent, frequent bowel movements, or the constipated bowel movements. Any and all negative symptoms that arise in our digestive system are arising from the toxins produced by the bad organisms. So, so there are many things that we can do to correct that imbalance, and it begins with mindfulness. It begins with understanding that the body's constantly trying to heal itself and that nothing is neutral. There isn't any food that we eat or snack that we eat or supplement we take or beverage we drink that isn't having an impact on those thousands of trillions of cells living in that microbiome. And the impact is to either be helpful, what I call complementary, or actively insulting. And if there are too many insulting habits, then that negative microbiome takes over, and it's very difficult it's very difficult to live comfortably because these organisms are constantly producing toxins. So the first step is to identify the difference between the complementary and insulting habits that you participate in every single day and choose to either minimize the insulting habits or avoid completely the insulting habits for 7 days in a row while practicing complementary habits. And some of these complementary habits can be getting enough sleep and rest, moderate exercise, breathing properly, and then things like hydration, proper daily hydration. The number one cause of constipation is chronic underhydration. It's not like you're, dragging your body through the desert. You haven't had water in 3 months. That's extreme dehydration. But if your body needs 50 ounces of water a day and you're only drinking 40, you would think, well, gosh, that's 40 ounces a day. That's pretty good. That's much better than I used to do. But if your body needs 50 and you're only drinking 40, then every single day you're slightly underhydrated, and that impacts every cell of your body, including every cell of your digestive system. So, of course, food is important, getting the right balance between protein, carbohydrate, and fat. But if you're just beginning, the most important thing are really the most obvious things, like chewing your food properly, like not eating to fullness, like not eating late at night. So many people have the habit of eating after dinner. They have the evening meal, and then an hour later or 2 hours later, they're snacking on something. And when you snack, especially in the evening, especially after the evening meal, you trigger all of the mechanisms for the entire digestive system. And it takes 2 or 3 hours for that digestive system to fully process itself. And so if you try to go to sleep when your digestive system is still working full time, you won't be able to go to sleep. You won't be able to fall asleep easily. So the number one cause of insomnia is eating late at night. So again, there are many simple things that we can do, and Brian is going to put a link in the chat so that if you don't have my book already, you can get a free copy of my book in PDF format. There's a section in the book that talks about the habits of naturally healthy people. There's a long list. There's probably 30 complimentary habits and 30 insulting habits. I just mentioned a few of them. So that's the best way to begin a process of intestinal regeneration. And again, don't put the burden on yourself of 3 months or even 2 months or even 1 month. Look at your life, look at your diet, look at your supplements, look at your habits, and choose the one or two most obvious insulting habits and stop doing them for 7 days in a row. And take the one or two most obvious complementary habits and practice them diligently for 7 days in a row. And you will see and you will feel a change in your physiology inside that 7 day period. And that's the best way to start. All right, I think I'll stop there for now, Brian, and we can open it up for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you everyone for all the questions and comments. I will try to get to all of them. Um, First one, Dad, is basically the question was when you get tired during the day, like consistently, you've been doing this a long time. What is it usually a result of? Just like tiredness throughout the day. Do you have any ideas for usually why that happens? Like for adults?
Yes, of course. So, first thing I want to share that this is my newest complimentary habit. I was out Christmas shopping with Brian and Evan in December, and we were in a interesting store in Kittery, Maine, and I bought this Yeti uh, thermos. So it keeps my water at the temperature I want it at for like hours and hours. And so really helpful, extremely helpful. I set this water up a couple hours ago. It's still perfectly body temperature. Okay, so to answer the question, there are many reasons for for fatigue. Okay? So if every cell of your body is functioning normally and your gut is healthy and you're properly hydrated, you should have good energy. Good energy, sustained energy through the day. So every cell of our body has little energy factories called mitochondria. And the mitochondria produce energy if and only if they're properly hydrated, if and only if all the micronutrients the cell needs are provided through food and supplements. And the mitochondria can only produce energy if and only if the signaling, the redox signaling capacity of the cell is normal. So the first place to look is hydration. I said earlier the number one cause of constipation is chronic, unintentional dehydration. The number one cause of fatigue is chronic, unintentional dehydration. 100%. And that's the easiest thing to correct. The second thing would be just indigestion. So the digestive process takes a lot of energy. The brain cells use most of the energy that's available to our body. The digestive system uses up the second most amount of energy. And so if you eat too much, you're going to be tired. If you don't chew your food properly, if you don't have the right amount of digestive enzymes, you're going to be fatigued. If your microbiome isn't healthy, when the food gets down there and your system is trying to absorb and assimilate the micronutrients in the foods that you just ate, oops.
We're just taking a quick commercial break.
Thank you, Brian. A word from our sponsor. Yeah. I,
I can't see
sorry,
you anymore.
sorry about that. So, hydration, chewing our food, having a healthy microbiome, the whole world of redox signaling, all of these things. I mean, micronutrient deficiencies. If you're not getting a full complement of vitamins and minerals and trace minerals and amino acids that are easily absorbed, then that could be the cause of fatigue. So there are many causes for fatigue, and they're all discussed in my book. They're all covered in the 7 root cause areas. So I've used this approach for many, many years, and I haven't yet found an 8th root cause area. So all negative conditions can be addressed and resolved by making the appropriate change in each of the 7 root cause areas. And again, please get access to my ebook and you can read all about each one of them. Next question.
Okay, we've got a question about basically the person doesn't really have digestive issues except on the rare occasion that they eat like fried food, but particularly French fries. So they were just wondering, they literally said like once a year they like to because they love French fries, so they do it and then they, reap the consequences. Do you have any methodology or insights into, helping to eliminate or prevent or soften the blow of that
Yes, yes,
decision?
yes. I understand. First of all, if you're only having French fries once a year, God bless you for that level of self-discipline. Wow, I'm impressed. So, so the easiest solution to that, whether it's French fries or any other food that you find any difficulty with, the easiest solution is to take one or two or three capsules of a full spectrum supplemental digestive enzyme product, supplemental digestive enzyme. And a full spectrum digestive enzyme is going to contain lipase to break down fat and amylase to break down carbohydrates and uh, what are the other? Anyway, we'll have the enzymes to break down protein. Protease is the protein enzyme, protein, carbohydrate, and fat. And we'll have two or three different types of each of those major categories. And that's the easiest thing to do. If you're not already taking supplemental enzymes before every meal, and if you don't have to do that, that's fine. But that's the easiest way. I know myself, if I'm going to have a meal where I know ahead of time it's going to be a little more difficult to digest, or maybe I know I'm going to eat a little more than usual, I will simply take a few digestive enzymes before that meal, and it always helps. So that's the easiest way to address that.
And this question is a little bit of a potential layup for you, Dad, but someone literally asked you to, how does Russell define a healthy gut?
Did you all get that basketball metaphor from my basketball playing son? He said, "This is a layup for you, Dad." A layup is the easiest shot in the basketball repertoire. So I love that question, and the answer is really simple. I mean, what was the question? What's just say the question
What
again.
is Russell's definition of a healthy gut?
Okay, okay. So my definition of a healthy gut is that you barely notice you have a gut. You barely notice you have a digestive system, other than the once or twice a day you have a bowel movement. And even then, it happens effortlessly and relatively quickly. You have no gas, no bloating, no cramping, no uncomfortable symptoms at all. It's totally normal to have a little gas during the day after meals. But so we're talking about no discomfort, no uncomfortable symptoms. And again, normal bowel movement activity, no straining, no discomfort. Um, and so of course, the first level would be you have no negative symptoms whatsoever. But as we know, the absence of negative symptoms is not the best definition of health. The best definition of health is the presence of vitality, energy, flexibility, curiosity, all these wonderful attributes of being more fully alive. So the first layer would be no negative symptoms. And then the second layer, most important layer, is the presence of many, many positive symptoms like good energy, like good sleep, like healthy skin, like healthy nails, like stamina, endurance, recovery from activity, recovery from athletic activity, etc., etc. Thank you for that layup.
We'll have to get you to turn that into a bite-sized response. Okay, couple questions around acid reflux. Can post-nasal drip correlate to acid reflux? And then there's two more follow-ups.
So the short answer to that is yes. Postnasal drip could cause acid reflux. Um, so yes, simple answer is yes, it can cause acid reflux.
And have you seen any results with apple cider vinegar type of product
Yeah, so I
or alkaline water with acid reflux issues?
so I personally have never used, I mean, I've tried apple cider vinegar a couple of times because so many people talk about it, swear by it. So I tried it to just see what it tastes like, but I have never used it as a remedy for any of my own symptoms or condition. But I know lots of people who swear by it, and it is supposed to alkalinize an over acid stomach. It is supposed to be a prebiotic. It's supposed to help the growth and health of our probiotics. But I have limited personal experience with apple cider vinegar. But typically, the remedy for acid reflux is something that's salty. One of the reasons that we drink water with a little bit of sea salt added is it's a constant alkalinizing influence through the day. To be constantly drinking water that contains a little bit of sea salt. But in an emergency, the easiest remedy is something like soy sauce or Japanese soy sauce, which is called tamari, which has been fermented for 2 or 3 years. Very high quality soy sauce containing active enzymes, but its alkalinity is very strong and it can very quickly neutralize the acid that could be triggering acid reflux. Most people think that they're having acid reflux because their stomach is producing too much hydrochloric acid, but I have found that's rarely the case. Many times acid reflux is being caused because the stomach is not producing enough hydrochloric acid, and the stomach is not producing enough hydrochloric acid because the person is dehydrated, they're not getting a full spectrum of micronutrients, and their diet, what they're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is not in balance, and it's tending to be too acidic in its impact. And things like drinking coffee or drinking caffeinated tea, uh, the obvious culprits that contribute to acid reflux would be foods and beverages that are preferred by the negative organisms, by the dysbiotic organisms. So the ultimate cause of acid reflux is an imbalance in the microbiome of the stomach. There's the microbiome in your mouth, there's a microbiome in your throat, in the esophagus, there's a microbiome in your stomach, a microbiome in the small intestine, a microbiome in the large intestine. Now, of course, they're all part of one continuous microbiome, but different organisms live in different parts of that one long continuous system. So that was a long answer to a short question.
And we've got lots more coming. So
Okay.
I'm gonna combine these two because they both have to do with essentially morning routine. So the first question is, do you have a golden hour, so to speak, of that time after you actually wake up that you find is best for eating? And then the follow-up, have you ever seen that there are any health benefits to skipping breakfast entirely?
Yes, intermittent fasting is a real thing. It's extremely helpful, and you need to experiment to find out what meal is best for you to skip. Some people find skipping breakfast is what works best for them, and they don't eat till 11 o'clock or noon. Some people skip the lunch meal. Some people skip the evening meal. In most of the intermittent fasting that I have done over the years, or if push comes to shove in my body and I'm feeling like I need to make a few simple changes, I will simply not eat dinner. So that would be my preferred form of intermittent fasting. And I've done that many times over the years. Not eating late at night is a real thing, is a principle. And so skipping the evening meal for 2 or 3 days in a row can often be a dramatic reset of your physiology and a reset of the microbiome. So the golden hour, that's kind of a nice phrase. I think it's very important to remember that when we wake up in the morning, it takes the body about 2 hours to fully wake up. And I think we all, and I think traditionally people eased into their day. Unlike a lot of modern people, modern habits, people wake up with an alarm, they jump out of bed, they hop in the shower, and rush, rush, rush. They grab something in the kitchen, they're out the door, they're in the car. That's not a golden hour. That's kind of a rusty hour. That pace is going to produce a lot of problems. So I know myself, I like to go slow in the morning. The first thing I do is drink some body temperature water. In fact, I read something back in December, just a month ago, about having that first 12, 16, 20 ounces of water be even warmer than body temperature water. So I've been doing that, and it's amazing the improvements. Just feeling it's kind of a gentle way to wake up the body, wake up the digestive system, but it's not a frantic alarm. It's like a gentle nudging. It feels really good to do that. And typically I'll drink some water and then I make my green drink, which is blue-green algae and body temperature water. And then I'll take some of my supplements. Of course, I always take my redox signaling supplement before I leave the bedroom. I have that in the bedroom and take that first thing. Then I go down to the kitchen and start drinking the water and take supplements. But it's at least an hour before I sit down and have breakfast. And I recommend something similar to that. Each person has to work out their own system, but as a general rule, you want to go easy on yourself in the morning and you want to give yourself time to ease into your day, and that includes easing into uh, food, easing into digestion.
Awesome. I'm gonna skip to this question because I've never heard of it before, so I'm curious. It's actually in the group chat. I'm on day 6 of the 7-day bliss method. I have no other symptoms, but I still have loose bowels. Any recommendations? Do you know the bliss method?
I'm not familiar with the Bliss method. Uh,
So that's a great question. And I can only see H. Sol. I don't know, Dad, if you know who H. Sol is. But if you want to
oh,
follow, do you know who that is, Dad?
yeah, that's Jim Sullivan.
Oh, okay. Um,
Jim and Helena. Hello, Jim.
well, there
I
you
didn't
go.
I didn't recognize the H Saul earlier. Jim
Then the
Sullivan is
recommendation would be to call or text Russell. I'm sure he'll go study this as soon as he jumps off, and he'll get you an answer. Okay. Next question. I'm gonna go with it's a good one. Do you, it's kind of funny because you don't believe in any one diet really, but do you have a general diet that you think is optimal for gut health?
so again, my approach to diet is to understand traditional diet. And I was taught this in the 70s. It was an essential part of my own healing process, and I still recommend it today. And that, the most basic approach to what I consider the healthiest diet is a combination of cooked whole grains, rice, oats, barley being the primary grains for human consumption, cooked vegetables, and not just peas and carrots. There are at least five distinct categories of vegetables: root vegetables, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, green leafy vegetables like kale, collard greens, bok choy, vine vegetables like squash, fermented vegetables. I watched a video the other day of a woman making sauerkraut with a big head of cabbage and slicing it very thinly and adding water and a little salt to the water. And a couple of weeks later, this magnificent fermented cabbage, which serves as a prebiotic. So, all traditional peoples made fermented vegetables because if they were living in a four-season climate, they had to get through winter. And the only way to get through winter was to know how to have a root cellar. But even the best root cellar is only going to keep vegetables vital for so long. So creating fermented vegetables and having foods like whole grains and beans, which store for a very long time. They don't go bad. So that's part of the reason why traditional diets were all centered around these basic foods. So now I only talked about grains and vegetables. Obviously, beans, things like hummus, it's very popular. That's an easy way to get a small amount of cooked beans. Uh, Good quality chicken, hormone-free, antibiotic-free, range-fed chicken, beef, other animal proteins, and fish. These are all the basic food groups of a traditional diet. So I still, if push comes to shove, you want to center in other words, if you're having symptoms and you want to have those symptoms improve, then a diet of cooked whole grains, cooked vegetables, a little chicken or fish at every meal, that's the diet that I promote, along with other changes in the seven root cause areas. And I now remember, Brian, what Mr. H. Sull there was referring to as the bliss diet. And so the simple answer is if you make changes and 7 days later symptoms have not improved, then you may simply need more time with the changes that you've implemented, or the real problem, the deepest problem that you're experiencing is the microbiome, and you may need a more direct remedy for changing over the microbiome, and that goes beyond the scope of this call, and that's to do a cleanse using specialized herbs to physically remove the bad organisms so that you can replace them with healthy probiotics. So I mean, there are many people who are being mindful, they're chewing their food, they're making better choices, they're taking probiotics, digestive enzymes, they're getting hydrated, getting enough sleep, meditating, getting good exercise every day, and still, in spite of all those complementary habits, they're still having gas, cramping, bloating, loose, urgent, frequent bowel movements. When that is the case, then it's definitely the microbiome that is out of balance. And sometimes the only way to fix that is to go through this very specialized protocol using uh, therapeutic herbs. So, of course, that's when I work with people one on one through my program, that's the most important thing that we do. We transform that intestinal microbiome, uh, using specialized herbs. Next
Awesome.
question.
Well, I'm going to
Or maybe
leave.
we're
There's too many questions to get to, unfortunately.
okay.
So if you want to just wrap up with some closing thoughts, I will get everything ready on my side.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for those great questions. And thank you for being here live with us. And thank you to everyone who's watching the recording. Um, I think the most important closing thought is to just remember that the first principle of functional medicine is that the body is constantly healing itself. Your body does not want to produce any negative symptoms. Your body wants to be healthy. Your body wants to function normally. And so the whole point of functional medicine is to identify these root cause areas and then teach you how to make changes in each of those seven root cause areas. If you do that correctly and consistently, there isn't any condition that cannot be improved upon, and there isn't technically any condition that cannot be restored to 100% normal functioning, digestive problems, and any other type of problem. And I use this term functioning normally because I don't want anybody to think they have to be Superman or Superwoman in order to get healthy. Normal functioning means there are no negative symptoms at all. And so all the work I've been doing my entire adult life has been focused on helping people to restore normal functioning, not only to their digestive system, but to all their organs and systems and cells. Because there is a self-healing capability inside us. I've been referring to that as our self-care sensei. There is not only this intelligence, if not consciousness, there is the practical knowledge of how to restore normal functioning, but it needs our cooperation. And that's where knowing the difference between complementary and insulting habits plays a huge role in our ability to activate those self-healing capabilities.
Awesome. Um, well, thank you everyone for creating tonight's masterclass together. It is always a communal event, and we create the vibe and the energy together. Uh, Tonight was filled with questions. I apologize, we didn't get to all of them. My sincere ask for everyone who feels like they have questions that have not been answered, please do just click on that link, book some time with Russell, ask your questions. You'll get a exceptionally tailored personal approach from him. And that one conversation could literally change your life for the better. I do want to shout out Colleen quickly. That was an amazing and courageous thing to share something with all of us. And just personally, I'm very happy for you. That's incredible to hear. And congratulations, the year is still young. Keep it going. The other thing I want to shout out quickly is I did put a link in the group chat. If you click that link, it will take you to Russell's Google page. And for all of us, I think we have a pretty healthy idea of how important and crazy and a million other things the internet is. But for us, it's particularly important that we provide as open and as available a place for people to get the type of information that you received tonight. And the easier it is to find Russell, the faster he can help more people. And so, if you've ever worked with Russell, if you've been to a master class, if you're here for the first time and you found anything valuable, your honest feedback online is very, very graciously received. And other than that, thank you to each and every one of you here live. Thank you to everyone joining us after this call. And we're very excited to start 2026 with all of you. And we wish you very, very, very exciting, fun, healthy, joy-filled, love-filled, and a million other positive affirmations for all of you. Good night, and we'll see you all
Good
soon.
night. Thank you,
Good
Brian.
night, everybody. Thank you,
Thank
Brian.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Great to see you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.